you're not going to accept them as mitigation anyway, what's the point of constantly adjourning for social work reports?
No.
No, you disagree, or no, you're just not listening.
How about no, we should be going?
What happened?
It were him, weren't it?
Your neighbour?
Yeah. He was going on about how we're still going to get evicted and good riddance because we're all animals. And he said my mum's a thick slag. And that really stressed her out, you know. Made her cry and that.
So you threw a brick at him?
Yeah.
And what happened next?
Well, my mum gave him a right belting, didn't she? And he called the police.
So what'd you tell them when they interviewed you?
What I told you. Can you get us a can of Coke or something and thirsty?
I'll ask the jailer. This is not looking good, Kenny. So much for me being your mentor, eh?
Have you got any kids?
Daughter about your age.
What's she like?
Top of the class, all the Blue Peter badges, worships her dad, of course.
You're putting me on.
Yeah, she's a stroppy cow. I blame the parents.
I bet your wife's nice.
Thanks.
No, I bet you're nice parents, aren't you?
Look, I better phone your mum. Tell her to start packing again.
That's another thing.
Listen, I've really got to go.
But it's your round.
I will see you tomorrow.
Oh, all right. It's my round.
What?
Don't you normally stand when a member of the judiciary ends a session? I could hold you in contempt for that, if I didn't already hold you in contempt. But I like to temper my judgments with mercy. So, if you get them in, I'll let you off with a warning.
Out my head by 10:30. Out with mates and dates and friends. That's what I do at weekends.
15 Retworth Street,
Can't
please.
talk and I can't walk.
You really enjoyed sticking it to me in court, didn't you?
Stop the car. Stop the fucking car, all right?
£500 fine. I bet it gave you a thrill. A little buzz between your legs, eh?
Let me out. Open the fucking door, all right?
Well, I'm gonna enjoy sticking it to you.
Unsuspected drink driver, refusing to take the roadside breath test.
That's not true. I was willing.
Ms. Beckenham was invited to blow into the sample kit 3 times. Each time she stopped after only 5 seconds, so we brought her in.
Do you know who she is?
Oh, yeah. She's an important member of the Crown Prosecution Service who could significantly advance all our careers.
The officer clearly misunderstood. I admit I've been drinking, but I just narrowly escaped attack by a suspect I prosecuted this afternoon.
Naturally, we'll investigate the matter, ma'am, but I can't really turn a blind eye to drink driving. And CPS wouldn't want me to, would they?
No. No, of course not.
So if you could provide a specimen of urine sometime within the next half hour, ma'am, we'd all be very grateful.
I tried. I really did, but
You are aware, ma'am, that failing to provide a specimen is an offence which carries exactly the same penalties as drink driving.
Yeah, so charge me with that and maybe I can get a cab home.
There are no special privileges here, ma'am, so you will certainly be charged. But the question of bail will have to wait until after you've been interviewed.
Then interview me.
I'm afraid, under PACE rules, if I have any suspicion you may be intoxicated, I cannot let anyone talk to you without formal representation.
Oh, for God's sake, I'm a lawyer myself.
Then you should know the law. A custody sergeant is in dereliction of her duties if she fails to apply the PACE rules strictly. You yourself know, even a tiny lapse in procedure can cause a prosecution to fail.
You're going to keep me in?
Just normal procedure, ma'am, if you're without representation. So if you kindly remove your shoes and jewellery, sign in your property, prepare for a search by a female officer, I'd be much obliged.
All right. Who's the duty? How could I have been so stupid?
Maybe you'd been drinking.
What's this?
A woman's right to shoes.
Yeah, well, if this is the way David Blunkett treats his prisoners, he doesn't deserve to have any.
Now, there's two words I always say to my clients.
What are they?
Shut the fuck up.
The police don't believe me, do they?
Well, they weren't there, were they?
How about you?
I'm paid to believe you. But every drunk driver comes up with some sort of story. Rape, gangsters with submachine guns. The police have heard the lot, so are you.
And they're all beside the point, aren't they? The only thing the law needs to establish is whether I'm drunk or not.
You know, if you get convicted, you can kiss goodbye to your new career as a district judge.
Yeah.
Well, if the worst comes to the worst, you can always try defending. Unsocial hours, poor pay, and some of the most ungrateful clients in God's creation.
Will you stop enjoying this?
Can't be done. But I don't like my clients not providing a sample, so I've called in the police surgeon for you.
To give blood?
Unless you wanted to try for urine. Jailer, you can take Miss Beckenham back to her cell now.
What?
Well, some of us have got work to do. Now, this failure to cooperate charge. Your officers tried to administer the roadside evidential test 3 times, yeah?
That's right.
Did they put a new mouthpiece on the equipment each time they asked my client to take the test? Because if they didn't, according to the Court of Appeal, that test is invalid, isn't it? Alcohol from your breath and saliva can build up in the mouthpiece, giving a false reading.
I'm sure they did change the mouthpieces.
Funny there's no mention of it in disclosure. Better take a look at their notes then, hadn't we? They're dropping the failure to cooperate charges.
Why?
Some tiny lapse in procedure. But as you're drunk, and by some margin, that just leaves driving with excess. Now, it seems to me you have only one choice here.
What's that?
You admit to being drunk, but claim it was an emergency.
An emergency? I'm a helpless female who had no option but to drive.
Yeah,
So why didn't I call the police on my mobile?
it was out of battery.
What about a public phone?
No such thing anymore, probably out of order anyway.
So why didn't I go back to the pub?
It was closed by then.
But there's still a gap between me needing to get away and me having a legal reason to drive.
Not if you play up the vulnerable woman in distress for all you're worth.
Well, a few more hours in here and I won't be acting, I can tell you. What's the first thing people say to you when they hear you're a defender?
How can you stand up and act for scum like that?
Well, people don't say anything to me when they hear I'm a prosecutor. They don't dare. But like you, they're thinking, ball breaker. So you think you can get me off, do you?
Provided I'm not up against you.
So why don't you phone the police on your mobile?
No comment.
Or use a public phone?
No comment.
OK, so why not go back to the pub and find your mates?
No comment.
So you walk down a deserted street late at night just to sit in your car?
No comment.
And nothing happens, does it? Hmm? So why do you have to drive off when you know you've been drinking?
No comment.
Oh, come on, look. You're a crime prosecutor. You can't hide behind this no comment bullshit and expect to get away with it.
Boy, there's only one lawyer in this room, and that's me. So don't try and give advice to my client.
She's a lawyer herself.
Doesn't matter who she is. Once she's in here, she's just a suspect. She gets the same rights as any other suspect. Now, we told you. She was in a state of shock and in genuine fear of assault or worse, and that's all we're going to say on the matter. OK?
Switching off the tapes at 4:07 a.m.
Bail to appear this morning. Do you think I'll appear before or after I prosecute Kenny?
After, because Kenny was here first.
You don't think we should have disclosed more of my defence?
Give the prosecution a chance to prepare.
So why didn't I go back to the pub?
Listen, we get you up before a female bench, spin a woman in jeopardy story, a few tears, a dropped hanky, and you walk away without a stain on your character. You might want to practice the crime bit, though.
You are a scumbag, do you know that?
So are you. Kenny's still in there till you prosecute him later on. Come on, I'll give you a lift home. I always like to try it on with my female clients when they're distressed and vulnerable.
Wait a minute. You drove here,
Yeah?
but you were drinking too.
Hello, the deputy district judge is back on the block.
You were drink driving too?
Yeah, but I didn't get caught. And whenever I'm entitled to a cab on legal aid, I always like to drive myself and fiddle the difference. Kenny, you know the routine. We're the defence, he's the sober judge, and she's the drunk prosecutor.
So, we are here to consider Kenny Walsh's antisocial behaviour order following a further breach to the breach we discussed yesterday.